listening to the ProgAxia podcast.
Hi everybody, it's Andy Phillips here and welcome to the ProgAxia podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that I've got 3 members of a 5-member band, and this is the Far Meadow. Hi guys, how you doing?
Okay.
Good, thanks, Andy.
Thanks.
All good?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Excellent, excellent. Now, before I go into this, when this is without blowing smoke, I'm actually becoming quite a fan of the Far Meadow. Got into it with Foreign Land, and I've just sort of gone back in the back catalogue, and I'm loving it. But Foreign Land really did blow me away. So just get that out. I'm a fan. I really, really love the album. And me and Eliot have been speaking for, God, it must be, what, nearly a year now, Eliot, isn't it?
God blimey, yeah, it is. Because since
getting on for you.
lockdown, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Beginning of lockdown, we had a podcast with John Camp and Chris Gill, didn't we? Talking about 1971.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is a lot of fun. So let's get into this. I think the first thing that I want to sort of go through is for anybody who hasn't heard you guys, don't know much about you guys. How did the band get together? I think probably Paul and Eliot go with that one because you were the original members and stuff like that.
Go on, Paul. You do. You go for it.
Well, it's nothing to do with me, was it? It was you.
He just wandered in.
You started it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, no. We've been a band called Blind Panic, and we lost our drummer a while back, and we've been rehearsing some new stuff, and we needed a new drummer, and our guitarist at the time, John Barry, brought this guy along, who's on the bottom left-hand corner of my screen. And the rest is history, I guess. Paul, probably he didn't actually enjoy it. You said to us, I think I remember giving you a ring afterwards or asking John how did Paul like the band, and he said no, he didn't like it or something. But John said, but that's good because he could find ways of improving it. I think that was the.
I never like anything though, do I?
No, you don't. You don't.
So, I mean, it was John Barry. We were playing with a guy called Phil Martin. I don't know whether anyone knows Phil Martin. Keyboard player, good keyboard player, and he had this really kind of interesting, really very proggy stuff. And he had various people in there playing it, and John was the guitarist, and that's how he found out about me, and I found out about him, if you see what I mean. And unfortunately, the project with Phil didn't come to anything, although I know Phil Martin's still out there doing stuff, and I hope he is too, because he's great. But that's where John caught my eye, and when he phoned me to say, do you want to come along for rehearsal with this band I play with sometimes, I said, yeah, that would be good. And that as Eliot said, that's how it all started. And yeah, it was. I can remember that day just about.
Yeah, I know we played, and I think shortly after that, so we had the original bass player and the singer Jim, who's on the first album. Knock. And he and what happened was Paul moved up to Nottingham, so he couldn't play. So we needed a bass player.
That's the other Paul, by the way.
Yeah. Keith arrived, and Keith was amazing because he played the stuff. I remember him coming in. He'd listened to the recording, I think. He just played it just absolutely off pat. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, he had really good, amazing memory.
Yeah,
just really, really stunning. We were looking at each other saying he knows this stuff better than we do, and he's supposed to be the one doing the audition.
I'm trying to learn the parts. Yeah,
embarrassing. Mate. Yeah.
So then Keith arrived, and then we put an advert in for a guitarist because we didn't have a guitarist at the time. John Barry was he was going between different things, and I think he was trying to lead a life in the New Forest at the time, I think, as well. So it was proving difficult. So we got we put an advert out, and and Denis arrived as one of our.
He didn't answer the advert. He doesn't answer
No, we
when you
phoned
say
in.
hello to him either. It's I can't remember how we managed to persuade him. He had a lot of videos online,
Yeah.
and we'd found some, hadn't we? And we were thinking, oh, that guy's brilliant. He would never want to play with us. But we were wrong about that as well, luckily.
I remember seeing there was something online. There was he played this kind of fusion track, and it was unbelievable. It just blew us. I think blew us all away.
Yeah.
And as Paul said, we said, well, yeah, I'll give him a ring, but there's no way he's gonna want to. And he told me he came down, and after the rehearsal, we thought, well, he's still not going to join us. And he came back. He said he loved the music, and in fact, we asked him afterwards. He said, "Why did you join Far Meadow?" You know, he's a sort of professional. And he said, "Well, it was." He said, "I just love the music. I love what you were doing." So there you go.
Yeah, it's not surprising. And Marguerita, I mean, you come in on the second album, given the impossible, and obviously you sing on Foreign Land as well. But I hear that you wasn't really a vocalist before. They hadn't actually done too much of that before.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a vocalist before I joined the Far Meadow. I started off sort of quite late in life singing. I started writing a few little songs. I played the guitar a little bit. And yeah, I just thought, well, I might as well join a band. I found the Far Meadow. And that's how it all started.
So how did you find these guys? I mean, how did you get together?
So I answered an ad on Gumtree that they were looking for a vocalist. I didn't really know much about them, but after listening to one of their sort of their tracks, I thought, oh, they sound like they're really good and accomplished. So yeah, I went along to the audition, and they wouldn't let me leave.
Oh, that's true.
I had to take lunch, and then yeah, it was like a 5-hour audition, and then it just all kind of happened from there. I was happy with them, what they were doing. They seemed to like me, so yeah, here I am still 7 years later.
Survival Studios, that was.
That was, yeah. I don't know if that's still there.
It was bulldozed.
Yeah.
No, it's closed down now.
Yeah.
Survival, that's not the one in Acton, is it?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the one in Acton.
We recorded one of our albums there.
Oh, really?
All right, okay.
Small World. That was a long time ago. That was like 1983 or something like that. Something ridiculous.
Yeah. I'll never forget the smell of Survival Studios, though.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
No, I mean, I must say it's probably the most
Exactly.
disgusting toilets and whatever that you've ever seen, but it was all right.
The guy that was there, what's his name? Remind me.
Ken.
He was a great guy. He actually came to one of our first, well, he came to the first gig we did with Marguerita, which was in this really, really echoey pub. And of course, like most publicans, they said, yeah, come on down, it'll be fine. And of course, as soon as we started playing, they thought, oh my God, we're going to wake up the neighborhood and all the ancestors if we're not careful.
I can't remember that. What was the first thing?
It was the Grosvenor in Hanwell, I think.
In Hanwell, right.
Yeah.
Played there as well.
But yeah, I mean, back to Marguerita's audition, it was just amazing because, again, it was a bit like, you know, all three people, we replaced 3 really, really excellent people. All of them were great. The singer was great. John Barry was great. He played a solo on a big train track, I think. I think it's the one about the goalkeeper. Something Billy Shouts Mine, one of that track. I think it's him. So they obviously thought very highly of him. And Paul Malatrat was an absolutely phenomenal bass player. And we got so lucky with our replacements, it was untrue. So to have Denis to replace John was amazing. Keith with his sort of amazing memory and, great style to replace Paul Malatrat. And Marguerita to replace Jim. I mean, Jim was a really good singer. It's an interesting personality. And but when Marguerita turned up and started singing the way she does in the audition, we didn't want to let her go. Actually, it was just thought keep her here for as long as possible. And we were always quite grateful that she hadn't just sort of turned straight round and gone out again. We haven't got any self-confidence, guys. That's our problem.
Well, I mean,
we need to believe in ourselves more here.
I think also the fact is you know, I think it was so different. We didn't know what it was going to sound like with a female voice as well. Some of the stuff, and I think you know, out of anyone, you've kind of had more influence on the style probably that we've gone through. I mean, we've taken a lot of. I mean, your style was pretty folky, as you said. You know, growing up on Greek music sort of thing, and it's what we found really amazing. I think was your Marguerita's sense of timing, because it was you know, some of the stuff we do, obviously odd time signatures, typical prog stuff, and yet, you know, you Marguerita just slipped straight into it, no problem with the timing at all. It's really impressive. But,
definitely the Greek influence there with the funny folky time signatures.
There is one we're working on is in 9/8, so that should be a home from home for you.
Yeah.
So
which one's that?
It's called, at the moment, it's called Why Can't We Get Out?
Oh, yeah.
It's the middle
It is
section.
9/8, actually, yeah.
Am I the only one that knows it's in 9/8?
I think I'd rather not know.
That's probably the best.
Yeah.
Because one thing that sort of struck me when I as I say, I entered with Foreign Land. You know, that was the album I sort of came in at, and it's very. I listen to a lot of prog. I listen to lots and lots of new prog as well as lots of old stuff, as you know, for the show and things. And it was the thing that sort of hooked me in straight away, was things like, you know, the composition was really good. You know, you don't normally get there's loads of prog bands out there that can play well. You know, great musicianship and blah blah blah. Me and Eliot have talked about this before, about there's loads of great musicians out there. But it's a bit of a transition between just being good musicians and having really good compositions with hooky lines, you know, like lines that actually hook you in. And that's one of the things from Marguerita, what I noticed about you was the melodies are really, really good, and they flow across stuff, which is, it's not easy to do, you know. And again, I'm not blowing smoke. And this is how it came over to me when I first started listening to it. Compositions are really good. Time signatures didn't sound like they were awkward. It felt like that's how it's meant to be, which is how it should be. You know, it should not feel like it's a you know, like in 7/8 or whatever. You know, it's just sound like a really good track, and that's what it sounded like to me. And all the things were very. The composition, as I say, was really good, and the melody lines were really good. I mean, when you first started singing on this stuff and sort of singing over this with, you know, you got your lyrics there, you got, you know, got a microphone in front of you. How the hell did you approach that?
Gosh, that's quite a big question. I think by not really, because like I said, I don't really come from a musical background. I don't read sheet music, or I wasn't that aware of different time signatures. So maybe just by not really knowing and just going with the feel of the music instead of thinking about it too much, it kind of just was natural. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I think because, you know, well, when I came in, a lot of the stuff was written. Most of the stuff was written anyway. So it was yeah, just sort of, you know, coming in and sort of putting some vocal melodies on top of what was already there. Yeah, I mean, me and Eliot worked together on that a lot, sort of one-on-one, and then we'd go back to the band and, you know, all play together. There's a lot of input from everyone, so I think probably that's why, you know, we sound like we're all really into it, because we're all involved somehow in the creation of it.
I think what typically come up, I mean, last tracks that we've done, where you come up with a, you know, really nice melody and got the basics of the song, and I've gone in and propped it up. So the chords change, but the feel of it, we try and keep the feel. I mean, we try and keep the feel the same, and then I think it depends which track we're talking about. I think it has been myself and you, Marguerita, just doing stuff, but then I think the instrumental bits we tend to write more as as a band. But the things are going to change. I think, you know, we're trying to
have a rehearsal.
Yeah, when we have a rehearsal. No, but but I think there are different ways of working, and that's what we're going to kind of experiment with, I think, going forward. So
I don't think we've ever actually said that anything should be in a particular time signature. It always seems to be, it has to be that way. We play 5 a lot for some reason. Seem to get into 5 quite a bit. It's a nice one. But it's never kind of willful. We don't say, oh, that would be better in 7/8. We just sort of change the notes around a bit, and we end up with something that is what it is, you know. We often say to ourselves, what is that time signature? Because we don't actually know when we're writing, because it all happens, kind of get it and you can play it, but no one's ever really bothered to just record it and then find out later what time signature we just played in.
But I think we do tend to as Paul said, we don't think about the time signatures. It's like we've been talking before, Andy, you know, where you get bands like Dream Theater who great technically, but to me there's no soul. There's none of the kind of it's all very intricate and not sorry, am I being
Elliot, this is a contentious issue. These sort of things are contentious issues. You know, I'm sort of with you. Dream Theater sometimes leave me. There's some good stuff in there, but sometimes it leaves me a little cold because it's just technical for the sake of technical. It feels like that to me. But that's just, you know, subjective opinion. Paul obviously has a slightly different opinion, which is fine. This is what music's all about.
Jealousy.
Okay. Do I think Jordan Rudess is a fantastic keyboard player? Yeah, he is. I just think the music they're
all amazing.
Yeah, they're all amazing musicians.
Yeah, absolutely they are. They absolutely are. You know, but this is the whole thing about, you know, with progressive music. It is pretty subjective. You know, it's like when I'm doing the podcast with Paul Gooch, who's my sort of co-presenter. He's a big King Crimson fan. I'm not. You know, I mean, I like some tracks, I like some albums, and you know, I'm sort of getting into it a little bit more nowadays. But it's always left me a little bit. It's always been a bit disjointed for me, a bit out there, and I'm, you know, and I like some pretty much out there stuff. But it's just King Crimson didn't really sort of kick into me. So a lot of this stuff is really subjective. But I think that the key thing for me when I was listening to you guys is that you seem to have that same approach that some of those older prog bands have. You don't sound like those older prog bands, but you have the same sort of approach. Like, you know, as I say, the composition type is you can sort of feel there's sort of Genesis and Gentle Giant sort of vibes going on, but you don't sound like any of those bands. Do you know what I mean? It's just like taking the approach rather than trying to, because there's loads of bands that sort of, you know, you can tell they're big Pink Floyd fans or the big Genesis fans and things like that. I try to explain this. I try to, when I sort of introduced you guys to Paul, my co-presenter, and he said, "What do they sound like?" And I said, "Oh, that's a really good question." I just sounds really good music. I couldn't say it sounds like Floyd or Genesis or Rush or, you know, all those sort of things, which I think is bloody good.
That's a big compliment. Thanks.
Yeah, that is a big compliment.
Yeah, we don't want to sound like anyone else. We've all got our influences, obviously, and I think the thing is, if there was one band that certainly, I think probably Paul, myself, actually Denis and Keith probably agree on is probably UK more than anything else.
UK, yeah.
But
that first album of theirs.
Yeah, I mean, if we were
UK, it's amazing.
We all believe that is the kind of the epitome of what we want to get, where we want to go, where we want to be.
It's a jazz rock album, really. You know,
I hate
it's rustling through stuff.
I'm just trying. Oh, there it is.
And yes,
we're talking about this one.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
One.
That's it. That is. Well, if they're probably more than one holy grail, but that's one of them.
I was reading something about UK recently, and that article you put round, Paul, and it was they were saying that John Wetton used to write the melodies, you know, as the vocalist, and that's probably, to be quite honest, that's why it became quite strong, because it's because of those melodies, I think.
They're all choir boys, that lot. I mean,
that's true.
The whole 70s brigade, all of them, you know, into stuff when they were, you know, they're all pianists or choristers or something. There's amazing wealth of, you know, I don't know whether we're talking about privilege here or not really, but it's a great big, you know, huge amount of education that ended up, you know, I don't know, I just thought you had to have long hair or something to be a musician and be a bit of a rebel. But I think there's so many of those people are studious. They're really studious people, you know, who have never been near, well, quite near, but they may not necessarily be taking any hallucinogens when they were doing their thing. It's all a bit of a myth, all that. So
I should imagine Holdsworth
got that wrong. Yeah. I think he really liked beer, Alan Holdsworth. He's a fan of beer and used to make beer.
But there was a story about Genesis when they first started touring with the Chrysalis roadshow, and there was Linda's Farm, and I think it might have been something like Van de Graaff Generator or something like that, and they was all on a tour bus, and there was Van de Graaff Generator at the back, you know, doing all the business, you know, sticking things up their nose or whatever, and Genesis at the front of the bus, reading the tour guides and looking out for the next church to come along and things like that to go and visit. And Linda Farr in the middle just wandered up and down the bus. If they wanted to get high, they go at one, and if they wanted to have a bit of intellectual conversation, they go down the other. It was terrible. And that probably sums up the 70s prog. Anyway, so recording. I mean, are you've talked a little about before we came on. I was talking to Eliot about sort of, you know, maybe you've got some new stuff coming out and things like that. Anything on the new album around?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's been harder because we've not been able to get together. And Denis is Denis is British, but he's also Brazilian. His family lives in Brazil. His dad is a pianist, actually. He an English guy, and he went to Brazil and stayed there. So that's the connection. And he's currently in Brazil because mum and dad are getting on a bit and they need to be helped. So he's there. We've also been prevented from rehearsing because of the pandemic and the various different sets of rules that have been, you know, handed down. But we've just got the green light to rehearse again. So we're having our first physical rehearsal on Saturday, and we have, I don't know, where are we? I think we've got 5 or 6 songs that are either the structure is finished or it's close, and we've actually recorded bits and pieces for 3 of them. So we're not actually that far off. I think we're all feeling quite positive about that. I'm really looking forward to working through those last bits. You know, in the rehearsal on Saturday, we'll be able to iron out some of the things that we, you know, just can't do it in a meeting like this. It's really hard to do it in a Zoom meeting. We've been having Zoom meetings for, you know, once a week for ages now, and it's really difficult to iron stuff out because a lot of the tunes that we come up with come out of jams. We'll just be sitting around playing, and something will happen and everyone will say, oh, well, we like that. So we haven't been able to do that. Hopefully we'll get a bit of that done as well on Saturday and carry on from there. So what we already have, I think everyone's really into. I think we've got 3 songs that we're all really happy with now, and there's another one lurking there that I love. I think it's brilliant, which is the one we are going on about, the 9/8. We haven't sorted that one out yet, but it's a great tune. It's really refreshing because it's not like the other tunes. There's a lot of balance in the album where, you know, you get one of those sorts of tune, one of those sorts of tune, this, that, but they all sound like us. So really, really looking forward to this one.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to it coming out. And you say you got some gigs coming up. Fingers crossed. When's the next sort of ones that you got coming up, Marguerita?
So 2nd of July, I believe, is the Prog for Pert, I think it's called. That one's in Pert. Sorry, I don't know how you say it.
Yes, it's the real Pert. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we've got Fiddler's Elbow on the 10th of July, and that is
Prog the Forest.
Prog the Forest, yeah. So they're both sort of like mini festivals that we're doing. So really looking forward to that. Fingers crossed, like you say, they go ahead.
Yeah, Fiddler's Elbow is a great venue as well.
And then we've got, and then November is Danfest. Are we still down for that? I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
We're going to do fusion and one or two other things. We're down for fusion, but I think we're down for fusion 2020 now.
Yeah. And we're also I think we're playing with Carabo.
That's right.
I mean, it's just going to be very interesting. I mean, I really hope we can do these gigs in July, but who knows? Who knows? You know.
Well, if they do go ahead, invite us down.
I will. We will.
I'd love to come backstage and do some stuff with you, you know, so some interviews and a bit of filming and things like that, because this is what people want to see. They'd like to see a peek behind the curtain. That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. Listen, guys, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you. I've got to let you go because I know that Eliot's takeaways. And he did say before we came on he was a hungry hand. So, so anyway, listen, it's been great talking to you guys. Looking forward to the new album. Please come back. You know, when we start gigging, it'd be great to maybe come down and sort of do some filming with you guys when you're live and stuff like that. That'd be fantastic. So until then, we'll see you guys later. Ta-ra.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye, Andy. Bye.